Hey, good morning, guys. I'm going to talk today just something that's on my mind that because I've been experiencing it. It has to do with entering a flow state, and everybody knows what that is. I think it's like I think of Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, maybe your favorite athlete. It's easiest to illustrate it with that. Somebody that gets into a zone where they just are unstoppable. It doesn't matter what anybody else does; they just are unstoppable. And that could be in music. I mean, if you're a artist or a business or whatever it might be. I mean, I guess it could even apply to somebody into gardening or something where you're in a flow state. But it's there's another guy I used to see in Canada, and I went to him for quite some time. One of my past real estate broker clients in Thousand Oaks. I'll give Bob a shout out. Bob Majorino. I went into his office one day. He owned I think it's Berkshire Hathaway now, but it was Prudential at the time. And he had several hundred agents, and I was in my business was exploding, my magazine publishing company. And, but I was like I was just, he knew me long enough he said, hey, come in my office here for a minute. And he sent me, he basically told me about a guy up in Canada. I started seeing Dan Sullivan, that was a business coach before business coaches were a thing. And Dan had a technique he just called it unique ability. When you're into that place where everything just, you're in your place, you're in your zone, you're not distracted with all kinds of other life issues, and another book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. At least I haven't read it in a long time, but I read it a few times. He really talks about the franchise model. He talks about how somebody can start a cookie company and they have this great ability to bake cookies, the best, cookies in the world kind of thing. But eventually the business becomes so big that the business takes over them and they no longer are in their unique ability. So it's kind of the same idea, I guess, as a flow state, kind of, sort of. But to get into that place, especially when you got like major ADD and ADHD, like I do, there are so many distractions and so many, everything from messages to, having my computer open on YouTube and, watching, personal development videos and, whatever is going on in the world. I mean, it's so easy to get distracted. And what I found yesterday, I was in one of those places where I had so much to do that I was almost frozen with analysis paralysis, and I couldn't get into the state. But the day was, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time, and I was like, I gotta get this on track. What is going on? And then I remembered there was another video I watched or something, probably about 5 years ago, that was called, I think it was called the Pomodoro or something like that. Basically, it means the tomato method. I have no idea why it's called that, but where you take your time slots, you decide what your focus is going to be. Like, I'm going to clear all my messages. I'm going to return all my calls. I'm going to write, my life script or whatever, whatever you're going to do in that period of time. And then you set aside, I think it was, they said 25 minutes, but I do 30 minutes. I did this yesterday, and it was like my day flipped like immediately. To get into that flow state where you shut off all your distractions, make sure, told my wife, don't interrupt me for the next hour or two, unless it's urgent or something. And I put the 30-minute timer on. I decided what my objective was, what I wanted to accomplish. And for 30 minutes, I went hard, just focused on that. My mind was telling me, look at this, go to that, whatever. But about 15 minutes in, I was, pretty focused. And I was getting into it. And then at 30 minutes, alarm goes off, and you take 10 minutes, and then I go to the bathroom, I get some water, I go look at the, grass and the stars, or not the stars, the daytime, but look at the sky, whatever I do, take a short walk, whatever it might be, and come back in 10 minutes and set the timer again. And after doing that a couple sessions, I was like, all kinds of stuff were happening. I was busy, I was focused. It was pretty close to the flow state. It takes a little practice to do it, but if you find yourself distracted and kind of hard time getting focused, this really worked well for me yesterday, and I'm gonna do it again today. And there's no time limit. You can go on for hours if you wanted to, I guess. But there's something about that break, something about the 30 minutes of focus, trying to get into a flow state where you're kind of in tuned and just getting after it. But if you are an ADD kind of guy like me, it was really important yesterday. So I'm going to do it again today.